Oh, okay.
Good evening and welcome to Cut Deep Season 2, Episode 3. The topic for tonight is BVI Love. Despite anything that is happening, love is always around us. At times, it may be hard to identify because we are so consumed with all the struggles or pain we are facing. But if you take a moment, you'll find it. It's in the laughter of our children, a pleasant smile from a passerby, a friend calling to say hello, the smell of the ocean, a gentle breeze, the fisherman on the corner calling to sell his fish, a cup of coffee or tea with friends, a swim in the ocean, the sand in our toes, the ability to breathe a breath of fresh air. Love is always the way a community responds to its vulnerable and sick. And I have seen a lot of BVI love, especially in the past few weeks, expressed as awareness continues during the month of October for breast cancer, domestic violence, and spina bifida. An outpouring of care and love. This evening, I want to equally share this platform with these three causes. The concept of Cut Deep was developed with a focus on encouraging the wider public to think more in depth on issues that plague us, encouraging persons to have a voice and to use that voice to invoke change. Cut Deep is an interactive platform cutting through the noise and political rhetoric. It is raw, uncut, challenging you to think critically. What do the issues mean for us? What part do we play? It is a platform that will move the Virgin Islands toward unified, integrated success. We will take a short break and be right back with our first guest.
The win! Oh!
What are the hell?
I'm freaking out!
Is time.
284 Music.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Welcome back to Cut Deep Season 2, Episode 3. Tonight, the conversation is on BVI love and how that can be expressed more with our most vulnerable. Our first guest tonight is Ms. Zubaida O'Neill. Zubaida created a firestorm of awareness for spina bifida over the past few weeks and will continue to the end of October. Her efforts are commendable, and I want her to know that we recognize that and we have heard her loud and clear. Welcome to the show tonight, Zubaida. I'm so happy to have you. And we want to talk to you tonight about spina bifida awareness and spina bifida and what you've experienced with your daughter and so forth. So if you want to start out just telling us your story really quickly.
Good night, everyone. I'm going to share my story about spina bifida and my daughter. She's now 1 year old. She was born on the 6th of May, 2019 in Atlanta, Georgia. I first found out that she had spina bifida when I was about 7 months pregnant, experiencing a lot of, bad back pains, and I went to the hospital. They did ultrasounds, and I could remember the next day. They came back, and he asked in an African accent, and I can never forget that, if I know what spina bifida is. And I'm a techie. I go to Google. Once I don't know a word, I go and I Google it. And the images started to pop up, and I guess he saw the worry in my face. So he put the phone and he turned it down, and he said, "Let me explain." After that, I left the BVI under consultation with Dr. Pickray in NHI to go to Atlanta, Georgia to have further assessment of, the severity of spina bifida with my daughter. We had scheduled surgeries right after birth, so I met her for about 2 seconds. I held her finger and she was wheeled out. She had surgery in a whole different hospital than I was. And I saw her when she was about 3 years old, 3 days old, because, you know, I had to heal and be able to go to her. She had spinal correction done in surgery the very same day she was born for about 8 hours, and I could remember waiting. But they gave me updates every 20 minutes. After that, it stemmed off with having a lot of trouble with her bladder. She couldn't clear her bladder on her own, like you and I, or your children. So I had to catheterize her every 3 hours. It went to 6 hours. Then it went to 9, and it jumped to 12, and now we're off of that. Thank God. But it comes with a lot of issues also with her bowels, where, you know, she's constipated almost all the time. So most of her foods are very soft, puree foods that we have to keep her around. She drinks a lot of prune juice. She's not a big fan of water, so I have to give her the juice to help the process of her stooling. With spina bifida, my daughter has myelomelancholy. That's the most severe form of spina bifida. So that caused her to lose no feeling in her lower extremities from her thighs down. She has no feeling. She can move them because she crawls all over the house and anywhere you put her down. She's very busy, but she has no feeling. So in order for her to stand and walk, it is very difficult, because when you're standing, you know that you're standing in your brain because you feel your feet. You know, it's very difficult for her to do these things. So we're off to Atlanta again in December to have assessments done and look at the options for the braces. I have one option already, of course, but I would like to have more options to choose from, because the one that we have is a bit heartbreaking. She does therapy every week. We have therapy coming up on Thursday at Therapy Walks with Dr. Jerry Smith and Dr. Janelle. And we do telehealth videos with what's his name in St. Thomas? It's a Dr. Penn. She has one of it here. It's a child center.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I know the name, but we go there in St. Thomas. But because of COVID, we've been doing it via video every week. And that's occupational therapy. That helps her to know how to maneuver as a human being. It teaches her how to stretch, how to grab. They taught her how to sit up, and physical therapy is done here. That in itself is a lot, because when I leave therapy, they give me homework. And I have to practice with her day in and day out. It's been a very, very hard challenge, because for me to cope, I see people, she has someone that's born on the same exact day with her, and I know them, and they're walking and they're happy. So it's very hard for me when I see everything else that a child can do. And then I have a son. He's 4. I've never had this challenge with him. He's very active, and I think that's why she crawls so fast, because she's trying to keep up with him. For me, coping is very difficult, but I keep having to remind myself that she will do these things. It's just going to take some more time. But I wanted to tell you one reason I'm mainly here and pushing for awareness is that I don't want her to feel lonely in this world. I don't want her to feel alone, and I don't want her to feel victimized, or, you know, she can't do this because she has this. She's going to do everything, and nobody's going to stop her, because this army that me and all the support that I've gotten throughout the month, we're going to be right there with her. So I just wanted to put that out there, that's why I'm really, really pushing for everyone to support and understand what is spina bifida. It can happen to anyone.
Zubaida, if you want to explain to the listening audience exactly what spina bifida is.
Spina bifida can be defined as a neural tube defect. So let me break it down as a teacher. It is when your spine is outside of your body and it was not formed correctly. Your spine is supposed to form straight together. When she came out, there was a space between. So this would be one part, and then the space was about here by my watch band. So this space was left open. And once that's left open, it messes with the connection. You know, your spine controls almost everything, your movement, your thoughts. So I up to left out that she has a shunt in her brain that was placed when she was 3 months old because she has hydrocephalus. And that's basically water on your brain. So that comes with spina bifida. So now she can't, hit her head because it's still open. And it probably will remain open until she takes out the shunt. And that will be decided by doctors. So, and it runs down to her stomach where it drains the fluid out of her brain to her stomach so that she can pass it out.
Again, thank you for being here, Zubaida. I know that this is really difficult for you as a mom, and I feel your pain as a mom, although there's nothing wrong with my children, but that doesn't mean as a mom that you can't have empathy towards another mom, because I love my children as much as you love, and so we all share in this pain with you. Do you have an idea of how many families in the BVI that actually share this struggle?
I know about 2 other families, and they joined me at the balloon release, balloon pop that we had on Sunday, World Spina Bifida Day, and they shared their experiences, and I would like everybody to go back and watch on the Spina Bifida Awareness BVI page. When they shared, it was live, and you hear from both. We had an adult there, he's now 21, and he's living with spina bifida. He had the most severe one, and he's living with it. And I would like you to really go back and hear, some of their experiences. And these people live among us every day. We probably see them and we'd have no idea. And then there's another young man. He's actually 1, so I won't say young man. He's 1 year old, yes, and he walks. So,
and he too has a lot of energy, and he's always smiling.
And he's very intelligent. So
yes.
That's who I know. So in total, there's 3 families I know have been affected with spina bifida.
So far, okay.
So far.
One of the things about Cut Deep is that we talk about the issues that affect the territory. And so my next question to you is going to be geared to that area. So I'm not throwing a ball out the left field. So just bear with me. A friend of mine on Facebook the other day, he made a post. His sibling is differently abled as well. Is that the correct term? I want to make sure that I say the correct thing.
Yes.
Okay. And it was last week, Thursday, that we painted the town yellow. So he woke up and he made this post, and he talked about his disappointment as to how the vulnerable group is handled in the BVI, whether it's from government perspective or, different institutions like the bank, etc. And, his disappointment, whether it's infrastructural work, that nothing is really done to accommodate or differently abled in the BVI. If you can tell me, how you feel about that. Is there anything you feel that you can do to, turn our leaders' heads so that they could understand that these are members of our society. They deserve everything that everybody else deserves. So what do you think can be done to get their attention to see that this is a grave concern?
Well, first of all, I have to agree with that post. I read it, I saw it, and I couldn't love it any more than once, and I wanted to love it 100 times. We really look past them, just not the leaders, us in the community. We really look past people with different abilities. But, our leaders would pave the way. I want them to recognize, make provisions for them, especially when it comes to their education, their social life. These children are going to live and become adults. What are they going to do? Sit down at home because they have spina bifida? They need to be able to have a job and be paid, because these children are very intelligent. I don't know if you've ever met anybody with a different ability, such as spina bifida, but I can tell you they are very intelligent, and they would make parts in this world that you and I can't even think of making. So I don't know how the government or, leaders of the country can actually get this done. But we can sit down with you guys and we can think of ways we can work together because they're only differently abled, but they can do everything that you and I can do, and I want all fairness for that's across the board, not just somebody with spina bifida. Any other disability, I want them to be seen as equal. You know, we really shut our eyes at them. And then we're going to use 1 month to celebrate them.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we don't just do this month and
no.
that it continues. And, you know, I expressed to one of my friends that maybe you guys can get together to petition government on legislations that, you know, would impact the lives of your family in a positive way. And to be honest, I think that as a society, it should be important to all of us because I can fall down one day and hurt my back and I'm in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And then I either become a shut-in or, you know, the infrastructure is there for
That
me
I
to
can
be
live.
able to live.
Function.
There is one story that I got where, you know, one of our differently abled, she wanted to open a bank account. And, you know, the manager took one look at her and was like, no, she can't have an account. Well, why can't she have an account? All the banks, except for National Bank here, they're international banks. All of these things are recognized internationally and the infrastructure and so forth is in place to accommodate. So it's a form of discrimination, you know, and it shouldn't be accepted. And so government has to move to legislate that their lives are as comfortable as you and I, you know,
Yes.
here in the BVI. Zubaida, we're going to take a really quick break and we're going to come right back.
Right now, many people are trapped in their homes with an abuser. This is the shadow pandemic. In one weekend, calls to domestic abuse helplines in the UK went up by 65%. In the US, Asia, and pretty much everywhere, reported numbers are rising. These aren't just numbers, they're people you might know. If you think someone is in trouble, check in on them. Ask them if they're okay and if everything at home is okay. Educate yourself about domestic violence. Know the details of local services like helpline numbers or shelters. If she tells you or you suspect that her life or the lives of her children are in immediate danger, call the protection units or the police. The shadow pandemic is spreading right now. Let's help each other safely right now.
Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of Cut Deep. Zubaida, again, I'm so happy to have you here to talk about baby Zaya and spina bifida and to just shed more awareness and light on how we can help you and how she can be more comfortable here in her society. So I want to ask you, how would you like to see baby Zaya integrated into her society, which is the BVI? Because this is all of ours. It's hers as well.
I would love to see her go to the pack, you know, and have something that she can actually use when she has braces on. You know, because if she has braces on, all the things in the pack, they're limited. She could only the swing is the only thing that she could use. I recently found a clothing line that is accommodating people with braces and devices attached to them. And, you know, we have some local entrepreneurs. We have people who with clothing lines. I would like them to, you know, look into things like that. Because these people they want to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just can't because there's nothing for them. Also, I would like that when we go into, you know, banks and schools, there are ramps. There are easy ways to get, you know, people with disabilities into your places. I would like that if she doesn't have the ability to write as fast as she can, that there's an assistant in these, you know, these offices in the education system to be able to help her. That I know we are short of, and I would love to see that happen, especially I am thinking about her going into high school and what her life would be like. I can't imagine just yet, but those are just a few things that I want to see. I want to see her interact with, friends, be able to go places they can go. If she wants to go to watch a softball game, I want her to be able to get up to the stands.
Yeah.
And, it might be difficult with the steps that they have. So that's just one simple example of, one thing we can do to accommodate. So when we're planning things and events and such, we put those things into consideration.
Absolutely. I feel like we've come really far as a society, but still we haven't even scratched the surface of inclusiveness. I remember when I met baby Zaya, I talked about that last week on my show, and she is such a bubbly baby. At that point, I didn't know,
Yep.
that what was going on, but I thought she was such a bubbly, happy baby. To just be dealing with all of that, it shows strong resilience in her. I want to say, as a woman, women are, let's not go there. One of the beautiful things in you raising awareness for spina bifida is the way everybody jumped on board on Thursday to paint the town yellow. And we have tons of pictures that we're going to share. It was so many. They were so beautiful. And I can tell you, yellow is my favorite color.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I went through the images, and it was just so beautiful how everybody just came together to stand with baby Zaya. These are beautiful images.
Wow, look at that.
It was really a beautiful show of support, and this is what I call BVI love.
Oh, this is.
No matter what you're going through, there's always something that you can zoom into to find that happiness. Zubaida, if you want to tell us a little bit more about all that you've done for the month, all the awareness that you built, the initiatives that you did, and what you have planned through to the end of the month and in the future for raising awareness and keeping us in tune and up to date.
So we began with, I had the interview here at 284 Media, and that went,
Viral.
Viral.
You can say it.
It went viral. I've never seen that much views on 284 Media, and I be checking those views. Sorry. But we started with a sweet treat sale at the Sunny Caribbean parking lot. We had that was so successful. When I tell you, I had nothing left. I probably had like 4 bottles of water in the cooler. Nothing left. And everything that we got was donated. Every treat, every cake, everything, the decorations were donated. Then we had the Sip and Paint Spina Bifida edition, where people painted a Spina Beautiful picture. And let me tell you, I was a bit frightened because it was raining that Friday, like storming, flood rains. And I had 50 people confirmed to come, and 44 of them showed up in the rain, and all of them were in yellow. And we had a wonderful time. Then we had the chance to paint the town Spina Beautiful. And in doing that, I created some signs, printed them, and I had them put on the highway, which I had some help of the Lady Rams for some community hours, which was so sweet of them. And they didn't give me any trouble, thank God. So kudos to you guys. And then we had the actual day where we painted the town yellow, and I don't know, people probably couldn't see it on my face, but I was so overwhelmed. I was driving around and all I was seeing was yellow. Every time I touch my phone, it's a yellow picture. Up to now, people are still buying shorts so they can wear for the rest of the month. I am just overwhelmed by the support. Like, I have BVI Love, we preach it, but I felt it on that day. And on Sunday, we had the balloon release / pop, and I opted to pop the balloons instead of releasing them. In lieu of some advisement that I got about the turtles, and I want to protect our little secrets that we have here.
That's a really good thing, because when I saw the balloon release, because I'm a greenie too, I thought, are they the environmentally friendly one?
No, they weren't. But what I did is that
So-
I actually only released 3 on behalf of the families, because we already had them, and I just let them go. And the rest of the supporters, they just popped away in a ribbon formation. And the balloons popping made me feel good, because I was like, yes, people feel my struggle, they understand now. So we have coming up next one more sip and paint, because my beautiful people just could not get enough. So it's open again for 50 more spaces.
And when is that?
The end of the month, the 31st, at 5 to 7 p.m. at Irene's on the 4th floor of the Cutlass building. If you need a space, you confirm with me at 345-0079.
And what's the cost of each space?
$40 for a ticket, and it includes complimentary drinks and finger food. And some treats I have in store for my guests. I don't have any way of saying thank you besides saying thank you. I don't know how else. I do have a treat though, so I'm not going to tell you guys. You have to wait until the end of the month. But I want to say thank you on behalf of my family and I. I don't know if you ever met Zaya. If you have not, you need to just take a look at all of her pictures. She's always smiling. Like, there's not a picture I have of my child with a frown. She came out of brain surgery licking her lips, like ready for the war. Like, yes, I did that. So I want to say thank you again to everybody who has supported and who will continue to support. You will be hearing from us. I'm going to take a break until next year. You're going to hear from us in January, because we'll be with the doctors in December. So when we get back, Spina Bifida BVI awareness, we'll be back. And this time, I'm coming with an army. It's going to be bigger and it's going to be better. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Zubaida. And although Zubaida says she's going on a break, that definitely does not mean that you cannot continue to financially support this cause. The expenses as it relates to her, and I'm sure the other families as well. She's not doing this for her alone, but for all 3 families. So if Zubaida, if you want to just give them the information on how they can donate,
Okay.
all throughout the year. You don't have to stop.
All right. So we accept cash. We do credit, ATH Mobile. That's related with Banco Popular and I think First Bank. And we take PayPal and checks. I am in the process of registering Spina Bifida Awareness, BVI, as a nonprofit organization in the BVI, so that we can do things, legally the right way. And for us to be as big as you can imagine that we will be, because we're coming. So I would encourage you to use all those options. And if you have any questions about those options, you can always give me a call, send me a message at 345-0079, or you can send me an email at Z, as in zebra, EEONEAL93@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to answer you. Thank you.
Zubaida, again, thank you for being here. And we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
of Jesus. That line here long like church service.
Alright, you enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come. Yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay. I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back. We are shining a light on causes highlighted during the month of October: spina bifida, domestic violence, and breast cancer awareness. Domestic violence is a major issue that continues to plague this society. Public justice requires government to positively intervene in both preventing and responding to domestic violence. Domestic violence is not just an individual or even a family issue, but a problem that has the capacity to have negative consequences on society. Negative developmental impacts on children exposed to trauma impacts their schoolwork and mental health. Survivors of domestic abuse may suffer the consequences of lost wages, lost financial support from an abusive spouse or partner. Government's policies should aim to uphold the integrity and social viability of families which do not exist in a social, economic, or political vacuum. Public policy should therefore take carefully into account the ways that other institutions and the dynamics of society impact families, positively and negatively from the earliest stages of family formation on through to the last stages of elder care. Thus, government's responsibility goes beyond merely criminalizing domestic violence and prosecuting offenders, although this is essential. Government ought to intervene on the front end to uphold healthy, non-abusive marital and family relationships through provision of grant programs that aim to provide education and counseling for marriage, as well as to provide funding for community education aimed at raising awareness of the signs of domestic violence. Government's role in upholding public justice requires the government to address domestic violence holistically and preventatively wherever possible by forming partnerships with the best providers of services, faith-based and secular, to prevent domestic violence in the first place and also to restore survivors to physical, spiritual, and financial wholeness. It is extremely difficult and most of the time unsafe for victims of domestic violence to pack up their things and leave without a plan or a place to go, especially when children are involved and the abuser is economically tied to them. Governmental grants that support organizations that provide shelter, hotlines, counseling, and other essential needs of those living in domestic violence are necessary and beneficial. Safety net programs like food assistance, temporary housing, childcare vouchers might not be the support that one first thinks of for domestic violence victims, but they can be crucial in providing the economic stability that is necessary for victims to feel as though they are stable enough on their own to leave the abusive situation. At the end of the day, there should never be any reason whatsoever to get physical with anyone. As a society, a small-knit one, there should be a zero-tolerance attitude towards any domestic violence, whether it be women, men, children, or elderly. We as a society must do all that we can to stand up for victims, ensure their safety, petition government to do better through legislation and through funding. Funding, however, should not be left only to the government, but we should exercise charity by giving to the organizations supporting these causes so that they can continue to be a support to victims. On Thursday, October 28th, under the Office of Gender Affairs, we will be painting the town purple, another opportunity to show pure BVI love. You are encouraged to stand in solidarity with victims. Wear something purple. It would also be a most welcome deed if each of you can reach out to the Family Support Network and make a donation, whether monetary or food items, to assist families that are in need. We will take a short break and be right back.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back to Cut Deep Season 2, Episode 3. On the last portion of this evening's show, we will highlight that dreaded demon, breast cancer. We've lost many of our beloved women to this deadly disease, with the most recent being beloved mom, daughter, teacher, and resident, Miss Letitia Leonard. Let us have a brief moment of silence for her and all those that we have lost. Our guest for this portion is Miss Margaret White Cole, President of the BVI Breast Cancer Awareness Club. Good evening, Margaret. How are you?
I'm well, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
You and I have developed quite a relationship through the familiarity of breast cancer. But you said something to me just as you were coming on while I was about to talk about domestic violence, and that was the loss of one of your friends. If you just want to share that experience with us so, we understand the realness of domestic violence and how it touches us or extended families. And
it's still a challenge to actually speak about it. But in 2017, I lost what I'm going to call a sister to domestic violence. She was killed by her partner. And the thing that gets me the most is that we missed it. We did not realize that she was in that abusive type of relationship, and therefore we were not able to do anything about it. So I guess you can call it survivor's guilt. When they're gone, it's too late. Mm-hmm. So the objective is to see something, say something. Don't tolerate it. It's not healthy. And we are left without a sister. Our daughter is left without a mom. And we still haven't had any answers, because the question is why? Why did she deserve to die in that way? And why did you think that you had the right to take her from us? And we don't have any answers to that. And it still leaves pain and scar. I did not plan for any of this. I'm supposed to be brave today. But say something if you see something. And if you're an abuser, please stop. Get help, because you really need some assistance to understand that it's really a coward that actually takes on the role of beating someone to death. You are a coward. So get some help, and if you are not able to get some help, leave our loved ones alone. All right? Find a way to deal with your emotions without taking it out on others, because it's just simply not acceptable.
And we're so... we know that it's not just so easy to say walk away, and we understand that, although it is difficult for us to understand, but it is important as a society for us to rally around those situations and not turn a blind eye.
And don't let them feel guilty, because sometimes we can project our way of life on them. Oh, it will never happen to me, or that could never be me.
And then they don't see it as a safe space to talk.
So try not to be that person. So we just have to be mindful of how we treat someone that might be in such a vulnerable situation.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to ask you to share another personal story of yours and the reason we're here at the end of the show to talk about breast cancer awareness. If you can share your story with us, and then we'll go from there.
All right, so in a nutshell, good afternoon or good night, everyone. My name is Margaret. I am presently the coordinator of the Breast Cancer Awareness Club. So before I tell you my story, I'll tell you a little bit about the club. The club was started in 2009 as a support group for a breast cancer patient that, recently got diagnosed. The workplace, I don't know if I can say the name, but the environment at that time here in the Virgin Islands, there was no, I'm not saying that they did not exist, but there were no active support group as it relates to breast cancer or cancer for that matter. So the ladies on the job decided that they were going to come together and do something to, go pink and do something as it relates to showing some level of solidarity to the person who got diagnosed, and therefore Breast Cancer Awareness Club was born. We had in the Noel Lloyd Park a curry for the cure where we dressed, and we had, the doctors there giving their helping hands and telling persons about what to do. And Breast Cancer Awareness Club has been doing that ever since. We're still doing it on that level. The patient that they were trying to be supportive to was me. I was at that time diagnosed 2009 with breast cancer, and as a nurse, you've seen it, you know about it, but it meant nothing to you until it actually became your problem. So at that time, it became my problem, became my family problem. And now I have a passion as it relates to not just the awareness, but to be there for others when they have to go through that. Because we're living in a system where persons are going to get sick. People are going to get cancer. So my job at the end of the day is to be there for them the way that others were there for me. And Ms. Jones, to be honest with you, everyone have their story to tell, and it's their story. But it would not be the same for me if I didn't have a network that worked. If I didn't have people that rallied around me and supported me and accepted that this is how I chose to go about my treatment. Because many persons say, oh, you don't have to do chemo. No, you don't have to. But I made that choice, and my family and loved ones supported me. And the Breast Cancer Awareness Club exists in the Virgin Islands. As I said, we celebrate 10 years last year, so we're on our 11th year, which means that I would be an 11-year breast cancer survivor. I'm doing well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing well, but there are others around us that needs a lot more assistance. And I'm not talking about financial assistance or
Support.
medical assistance. Is the mental health of breast cancer patients that we focus on as a group. Because there are a lot of persons out there that can do the research. There are a lot of organizations that are doing that. So we focus on the psychological first aid that patients need and their family. So a patient would come to us or refer to us, and we would talk to them based on what has happened, the diagnosis, how they're feeling, so forth and so on. And then we work with them through, having had persons in the group that have experienced it, what they should expect. Given that all cancer are not treated the same way,
Correct.
but at least they know that it's someone who has gone through the surgery, who have the scars, who have lost their hair, the femininity, everything has been impacted by having had breast cancer. So that's where our focus is at. All right. I had 2 types of cancer in the same breast. One was invasive and one was in situ. The invasive one started to infiltrate my vascular system. So the treatment was very aggressive. So there were days I couldn't move. My mom thought I was going to die at one point. But here I am, because again, the support of my friends and my family, my faith. And yeah, I think that's, the mild part of the story.
Yeah, that works. So what initiatives, well, I wanted to actually touch on the fact where you said that most breast cancer, well, they're not the same. And I had a sister that suffered with breast cancer, and she passed away. And when we were dealing with the doctors, they were just explaining how they're all different, how they affect you all differently. It's just, you couldn't get your head around, all the medical terms and treatment options. And so it is a daunting thing where, the support is definitely needed sometimes. not only from your family, because sometimes your family can't give you all the support you need. So a network is definitely very, very important. What initiatives is your club known for?
Okay, the slogan that you had up before, it says we educate, we entertain, and we support. Our goal is not to focus so much on disease because unfortunately we oftentimes get the breast cancer patient, not the person that was healthy. They often come to us after the fact. So what we do, the initiative is to educate them as it relates to treatment options, how to best speak with their doctor, finding the appropriate facilities that they can actually go to. For instance, we had a case last year where she had no access to the US to get her treatment. So we made connections with the Caribbean Cancer Institute, I think in Antigua, and we make the connection so we can get persons to be in that way. So through that way, we educate them. We entertain because we have fun activities. Back in 2010, 11, we had what we call a meet and greet where we invited all breast cancer patients to just come out and have a semi-formal dinner with us where we, took time away from the disease and focus on the person. And since 2017, now we're having the Decorate That Door competition, which you're quite familiar with.
Yes.
And this year we were worried because of COVID how we were going to get that done. But again, because we have such a beautiful team as a part of the Breast Cancer Awareness Club, we decided to go virtual. And St. Thomas was able to be a part of it, yes. They actually came on board and they won. So we have that.
So you took our award down to St. Thomas?
Listen, breast cancer is universal and therefore the awareness has to be universal as well. And as I said, it's not always about the money, it's getting persons involved. And if Decorating a Door gets you involved, then so be it.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the other things we do. And we have patients who are struggling financially. And we know too that we don't want to take away persons' dignity from them. We need to give them, ensure that they keep their self-esteem high. So rather than just giving you to say, all right, here's a check, we often say to you and your family, how can we help? You need the financial assistance, and we are blessed again with chefs and persons who have great talent in the club. And we say, okay, we'll do a fundraiser. So we'll help that person to get the fundraiser out there so they don't necessarily feel like they're just getting a handout. They're actively part of the fundraising event and they get their funds through that. One of the things that we do as well is that, we are here in the Virgin Islands and it's mostly about work. So a lot of persons don't have company to go to chemotherapy or radiation.
Right.
We provide that assistance as well, free of charge. We take it out of our own time and we couple you with another member or so and they will go to the chemotherapy treatment with you, go to your radiation with you, even though they cannot be in there, so to speak, they're with you. So when you get up, you have someone with you at all times. And to be honest with you, the peer counseling, the mentoring, that never ends. And I'm not going to complain about it because it helps me to grow as a person. I don't use the word survivor because I don't think that it gives any justice to who you are once you have gone through something like breast cancer. I often use the word warrior because it's an ongoing struggle. And we have persons here in the Virgin Islands that they don't need to be in the spotlight. They don't need the pictures taken. They don't need others to know about their story because they're not yet ready to tell the story. So that's where we spend a lot of our time, just listening and being a shoulder to cry on. We pair you, for instance, in your case where you said it's your sister. While I have never had a sister who have had the disease, I have sisters who had to go through that with me. So they become your shoulder to cry on because they would understand what it means to be a sibling. And we have the same thing for spouse, we have the same thing for best friends, we have the same thing for children. So we tailor each case based on what is needed for the patient.
I didn't know that all of that happened at the Breast Cancer Awareness Club. That is really a great organization of support for Victims isn't the word. Survivors, warriors. Just for anybody in their family that would be handling that. I know that it's a difficult place to be, to have an illness like that you don't know if you're going to survive it, if you're going to make it through. You have young children. So, you know, as a family member, you look in, you try to give your best, but sometimes your best isn't enough. And the most you can do is just probably still give it, fall back in your own private corner, shed a tear, lay it off, and then come back again, so that, you know, your family member just has all of you.
Yes.
So that they don't have to worry about, I can't put this on her. Yeah. BVI Cancer Society, another amazing association, but I'm sure both organizations probably get confused a bit quite often.
Yes.
Do you just want to?
Yeah, there is the BVI Cancer Society, and the way that I would like to get it out there is that the BVI Cancer Society is that general hospital. The Breast Cancer Awareness Club is more like a private, special.
It's tailored.
Yes, it's tailored for breast cancer. Our focus is aimed at breast cancer in itself, because we have persons who have gone through that. And again, remember, the club was born because of not having any organization that was active at that point. So, you know, we focus on that. So oftentimes we are mixed up with the breast cancer, the BVI Cancer Society. We are not the same. The thing that I love, though, is that the cause is the same. Because while they focus on all types of cancer and we focus on breast cancer, the cause is, at the end of the day, to give hope to others, to assist others who are going through that struggle, to be there for them. So, you know, we function more as a support group than we do
as a financial.
Right. So that's where the difference actually comes in. We are always very supportive of their cause as well. We would go to events, support it as much as we can, because, again, it's one disease.
And I see that they do the same for you guys. Yes.
We open up and we try to do the best in that way.
Yeah. What are the statistics like on breast cancer in the BVI?
Sadly, I don't have a direct quote, but from where I sit as it relates to my secular job, we have way more than we really should for a small community. It's 1 in 8 in the US, but if we narrow that down to our population, it is going to be more.
Yeah.
If you walk into a building and there are 16 persons there that are female, most likely at least 3 of those individuals might have had it, have it, or might get it in the future because of the population that we have. And it's so sad.
It is.
It's sad. Yeah, it's, when it gets to that point, it really pains me, because, and the disease is getting younger and younger. Before, you know, you would have thought that it would have been age, and it's getting younger. It's getting younger. So we have quite a bit of persons. So we stick with the 1 to 8 because it's the US statistics and it's wider, but Caribbean based, we are growing way too much as it relates to that. And just to put one quick thing in there, I think that people are still afraid to get tested or to do anything about it because the disease is so tabooed. It's still a private thing. You know, persons don't want to talk about it out of fear of dying. But my thing is, cancer is a word. It's not a sentence. It's a word. And therefore, the quicker you find it, the easier your fight is going to be as it relates to recovering. I've had persons who were late stage and they lived comfortable, healthy lives, but it could have been a longer life if they had caught it on time. So I encourage persons, and don't think it's for women alone, men as well. You know, be aware, get to know your body, understand the impact that these things can have on you, and get an early start, get ahead of it as it relates to staying healthy. Do your annual checks. Women need to do their monthly breast examination. That is important. Get your mammograms done. We have a little issue, I don't know if that is a part of it, but just before it comes on to what age to do your mammogram, your insurance most often don't pay for it until you're 40 years or older. The thing, though, is that that should not prevent you from getting screened, give us a call. We will work through that so you don't necessarily have to go through your insurance. And that's some of the things that we work on to ensure that no one is left behind. If I waited on the protocol of 40, I would not have been diagnosed because I got that at 30.
Wow.
So we just have to be aware of that.
Mammograms, is that the easiest, best way to go? What do you think? And this is just your opinion. We're not going to hold you on the...
Right. It still is used as the best method as it relates to finding out the disease early. Is it the only method? Absolutely not. But for now, that's what we have. Persons are not comfortable because of the radiation that is out there, but you really would have to be consistently exposed to that radiation on a regular basis to actually have that negative impact on you. So my thing is that don't shy away from it. Get it done because it's what we have that help us to get ahead of the disease along with your self-breast examination and of course your physician doing that examination as well. For younger, these days we're doing it with the ultrasound as well. So you have the option of doing a breast ultrasound if you're younger, right? But if your doctor requests that you get a mammogram done, don't be shy to get it done. People complain that it's painful. I would not necessarily say painful. I know it's uncomfortable.
Maybe for big boobies it is uncomfortable.
So it's uncomfortable, but the point is that if you get it done, then you would stay ahead of the disease. And that's what we want. I would love to not have anyone call me for peer counseling. But the reality is that they do call and know and trust and believe we are here for you. And when we feel like giving up, then the call comes in. And then we know that we have to continue going. So.
What type of advice would you offer to families supporting their loved one?
Learn as much as you can about the disease. Learn as much as you can about that particular type of cancer that they have. And don't have expectation as it relates to, them always being in their best state of mind. They're not going to always be happy. They're not going to always be sad. You will see changes. As a caretaker, because that's what you become, ensure that you take care of yourself as well. Don't always feel the need to ask them, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
That becomes a drag from time to time because a patient does not really necessarily want to be pitied because if it was not me, then it might have been you. I don't want you to get it either. So don't be don't have that pitiful state for them, and don't ever make it seem as if this is the last. Okay? So you fight with them until there is no more fight left in them. Stand firm and do the best that you can as a caretaker. Give them lots of love. All right?
Margaret, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you came in and you took the time to talk to us. Before we go, my family too has felt the sting of breast cancer. We lost my sister, mother to my 3 beautiful nephews, and former magistrate of these Virgin Islands, Shami Roseanne Bunbury, on the 31st of December 2017. It was painful to see her young life snuffed out. It remains a painful challenge knowing she is gone. Her young children continue to struggle with their immense loss. Many families have experienced it and many more will. We want to keep all families in our prayers and most positive thoughts. As a society, let us not forget our most vulnerable and those that are suffering from loss. Life goes on, but for many, in their despair, it stands still. Good night to all, and join us next week for episode 4.